everyone, welcome to the series of spectroscopy. In previous lecture of this series, we have seen interaction between EMR and matter because spectroscopy is a result of interaction of EMR with the matter, and we have discussed the types of interactions of EMR with matter. And through this tutorial, we are going to start first type of spectrometry, and that is visible spectroscopy, which is also known as colorimetry. But before starting this, we will discuss types of spectroscopy, because before starting types of spectroscopy, it is necessary to see which are the types of spectroscopy. But first, we will just revise what is spectroscopy. So, spectroscopy is the measurement and interpretation of EMR, either absorbed or emitted, when the molecules or atoms or ions of a sample move from one energy state to another energy state. That is, we have seen already in previous lecture that after absorbing EMR, atom or molecule or ion goes to the excited state from the ground state, and then it is unstable to the in excited state, so it comes to the ground state from the excited state. So this is the basic process which takes place in any type of spectroscopy, any type of absorption spectroscopy. And at ground level, the energy of a molecule is the total of rotational, vibrational and electronic energies. This is we have seen in molecular type of interaction of EMR with the matter. So, types of spectroscopy. Spectroscopy can be divided based on, first is whether the study is made at either atomic level or molecular level, then based on either the reaction takes place, interaction takes place is of absorption type or emission type, and the third is the study is at electronic level or magnetic level. So, these are the three bases upon which spectroscopy can be divided. So, first one is based on whether the study is made at either atomic level or molecular level. So, obviously, based on this, the spectroscopy can be divided into two types. First one is atomic spectroscopy and second one is molecular spectroscopy. And it is very simple, as the name suggests. Atomic spectroscopy is the spectroscopy where changes in energy take place at atomic level, and in molecular spectroscopy these changes take place at molecular level. In atomic spectroscopy, either atomic absorption or atomic emission of EMR is studied, right? And in molecular spectroscopy, molecular absorption or molecular emission or molecular vibration is studied. Here vibration is extra because vibration takes place to the whole molecule only, not to the individual atom, right? So in atomic spectroscopy, atomic absorption or atomic emission, and in molecular absorption, molecular emission or molecular vibration. So examples of atomic spectroscopy are atomic absorption spectroscopy and flame photometry. And examples of molecular spectroscopy are UV spectroscopy, visible spectroscopy means colorimetry, then IR spectroscopy means infrared spectroscopy, and fluorimetry. In UV and visible spectroscopy, molecular absorption is studied. In infrared spectroscopy, molecular vibration is studied. And in fluorimetry, molecular emission is studied. Second division of the spectroscopy is based on whether the study is based upon absorption or emission of EMR. So, based on it, spectroscopy is divided into two types, absorption spectroscopy and emission spectroscopy. And obviously, in absorption spectroscopy, absorption of radiation is studied, and in emission spectroscopy, emission of radiation is studied. Absorption is done by absorbing species, and emission is also done by absorbing species after absorption of radiation. Because after absorption of radiation, species means atom or ion or molecule goes to the excited state from ground state, and then it tries to come in ground state by emitting extra energy in the form of radiation. So this emission of radiation is studied in emission spectroscopy. Examples of absorption spectroscopy are UV, colorimetry, IR, then NMR means nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy and atomic absorption spectroscopy. And examples of emission spectroscopy are flame photometry and fluorimetry. Third division of spectroscopy is based on whether the study is at electronic level or magnetic level. And based on this, spectroscopy is divided into two types. First one is electronic spectroscopy and second one is magnetic spectroscopy. As the name suggests, EMR is electromagnetic radiation. So it has two fields, electric fields and magnetic fields. In electronic spectroscopy, the study is done using electromagnetic radiation only without the influence of magnetic field. And in magnetic spectroscopy, study of EMR is done under the influence of magnetic field. In electronic spectroscopy, there is no need of magnetic field, but in magnetic spectroscopy, magnetic field is provided. It means the study of EMR is performed under the influence of magnetic field. Examples of electronic spectroscopy are UV, colory and fluorimetry. And examples of magnetic spectroscopy are nuclear magnetic resonance means NMR spectroscopy and ESR means electron spin resonance spectroscopy. So these were the types of spectroscopy, students. These types are based on whether the study is made at atomic or molecular level, then the absorption or emission of EMR, and then at electronic or magnetic level. Right? So atomic and molecular spectroscopy, then absorption and emission spectroscopy, and then electronic and magnetic spectroscopy. Now, the energy of a molecule, this is we have seen in molecular interaction. Energy of a molecule can be due to electronic, vibrational or rotational energy, and the ratio of these three energies are as follows: rotational energy to vibrational energy to electronic energy, and the ratio is 1:100:10,000, which means the contribution of rotational energy in total molecular energy is 1 time, while vibrational energy is 100 times, while electronic energy is 10,000 times. Means electronic energy is in the highest, then the vibrational energy, and then the rotational energy. Right? And when any electromagnetic radiation is passed on to a molecule, following energy changes takes place in a molecule or atom, which can be measured. Then the energy changes are, here see, we have taken types of electromagnetic radiation. These are the major types of electromagnetic radiation, that is we have already seen in the lecture of EMR and EMS, electromagnetic radiation and electromagnetic spectrum. Right? So what happens when we pass this particular type of radiation, and what is its wavelength region, that is we have already seen. Here I have taken these for the revision purpose only. So when we pass cosmic rays, the changes is caused at atomic level. Then when we pass gamma rays, changes is caused at atomic nuclei level. Then when we pass X-ray to the substance, changes are caused in inner electrons means inner orbitals means k orbitals and l orbitals. Then UV and visible radiations causes the changes in valence electrons. Then passing IR radiation, it causes the changes in molecular vibration. It changes the vibrational energy of the molecule, not atom but the molecule. As I said, vibrations affects the whole molecule, not an individual atom. Then by passing microwaves, spin orientation of electrons are affected, which means electron spin resonance spectra. Spin orientation of electron. Spin orientation of electron means the axis on which electrons are moving. And radio waves affect spin orientation of nuclei. Microwaves affect spin orientation of electrons, but radio waves affect spin orientation of nuclei. And so we can get nuclear magnetic resonance NMR spectra. So we can say that in ESR we passes microwaves and in NMR we passes radio waves. Here the wavelength region, that is we have already seen, wavelength region of cosmic rays is 10 raised to minus 9 nanometer, then of gamma rays is 0.2 to 1 angstrom, then of X-rays is 1 to 10 angstrom, UV region is 200 to 400 nanometer, visible region is 400 to 800 nanometer, IR region is 2.5 to 25 micron, microwaves region is 0.1 to 100 centimeter, and wavelength region of radio wave is 1 to 1000 meter. Here the important region is all this, and we have taken the important widely used units. So see here the units are vary: nanometer, then angstrom, then nanometer, micron, centimeter and meter. These are the widely used regions. So try to remember this. Here the important is UV, the region, wavelength region of UV radiation is 200 to 400 nanometer, and wavelength region of visible radiation is 400 to 800 nanometer. After seeing types of spectroscopy, we are going to discuss types of spectra. Obviously in spectroscopy we studied spectra. So what are the types of spectra? That is we are going to see. First, spectra is nothing but a graphical expression of wavelength or frequency or wave number on x-axis and intensity of absorbed or emitted or scattered light on y-axis. On x-axis we take either wavelength or frequency or wave number, and on y-axis we take intensity of absorbed or emitted or scattered light. This is we have seen in the very first lecture that the chemical information is converted into this easily observable information by the analytical instrument. And in spectroscopy, this easily observable information means the spectra. By studying this spectra, we can get quantitative as well as qualitative information about our sample, right? Mainly, three types of spectra are widely used in analytical chemistry, which are line spectra, band spectra and continuous spectra. As the name suggests, see in the figure students, line spectra means we get only straight lines, in band spectra we get bands, and in continuous spectra we get continuous spectra. Line spectra are nothing but sharp lines of definite specific wavelengths. It is a characteristic of atoms, and atoms in the gaseous state, which means in free excited atoms, emit the line spectrum. All the metals, all the atoms give spectra in this line form, right? Then the band spectra, it consists of a number of bright bands with a sharp edge at one end but fading out at the other end. In band spectra, its one end is sharp but the other end is fading, means slightly slant, like fading. And band spectra are the characteristic of molecules. These are obtained from molecules. Atoms give line spectra while molecules give band spectra. And when we examine this band spectra under a high resolving power spectrometer, each band is found to be made up of large number of fine lines which are very close to each other at the sharp edge but spaced out at the other end, right? At the sharp edge, these lines are very close to each other, but at the faded end, there is slightly space between them. And because band spectra are the characteristic of molecules, using band spectra, the molecular structure of the substance can be studied, right? So line spectra is used to study atoms, and band spectra are used to study molecules. Then the third type is continuous spectra. It consists of unbroken luminous bands of all wavelength. It is seen in absorption, emission and scattering spectroscopy, and it is given by incandescent solids, liquids, carbon arc, electric filament, lamp, etc. Right? So this is the continuous spectra. Here the important is line spectra is given by atoms and band spectra is given by molecules. Line spectra are used to study the characteristics of atoms, and band spectra are used to study the characteristics of molecules. Right? Now we are going to start first type of spectroscopy, and that is visible spectroscopy, which is also known as colorimetry. As we have seen, the wavelength region of visible radiation is 400 to 800 nanometer, and visible means that this wavelength 400 to 800 nanometer we can see by our naked eyes, and that is why only it is named as visible radiation. So, and any colored substance absorb radiation in this wavelength region, so this is also known as colorimetry. Any colored substance absorb light of different wavelength in different manner, and hence we get an absorption curve. Absorption curve means nothing but absorbance versus wavelength in a unique pattern for every colored solution or every colored substance, which means each substance has its specific lambda max. What is lambda max? Means maximum wavelength. Lambda max is the wavelength at which maximum absorption of radiation takes place. Here see in the figure, student, lambda max is the point at which the absorbance is maximum. First, this is the absorption curve. Absorption curve means the graph between absorbance and wavelength, right? And in this graph, the wavelength at which absorbance is maximum is known as maximum wavelength, means lambda max for that substance. And the value of lambda max is specific for each substance, such as molecular formula or molecular weight is specific for each substance. In that manner only, the value of lambda max, means this value of maximum wavelength, is specific for each substance, right? So, by this graph absorption curve, after studying lambda max, we can study which substance is present in our sample. So, this is used for qualitative aspect, useful for identifying the substance. After getting this absorption curve, we can get the value of lambda max, and as I said, each substance has its specific lambda max. So after getting this lambda max, we can say that which substance is present in our substance, right? So it is used for identification of the substance, means qualitative aspect, not quantitative but qualitative, useful for identification. Second curve is absorption curve using different concentrations of same substance. As I said, lambda max is the specific value for each substance, right? So as we change its concentration, its value is not changed, right? Its value is fixed. So lambda max is fixed. So its value is not changed, means the wavelength is not changed, but the absorbance, as we increases the concentration of the substance, the value of absorbance is increased, but the value of lambda max is fixed. See in the graph, students, the value of lambda max is fixed, but the value of absorbance is increases as we increases the concentration from 5 microgram per ml to 10 microgram per ml to 15 to 20 and to 25, right? As we increases the concentration, the value of absorbance is increases, but lambda max is unchanged because it is the specific for the specific substance. Concentration does not affect the value of lambda max, but obviously as we increases the concentration, absorbance is increases, and in end as we decreases the concentration, absorbance is decreases. So this is the absorption curve using different concentration of the same substance, which means lambda max is not affected by the concentration of the substance. Then calibration curve or standard curve. This is the curve between absorbance and concentration. Usually the concentration is taken in unit microgram per ml, means parts per million, ppm. To plot this calibration curve or standard curve, the value of absorbance and concentration are used of the standard sample, and from this curve, after extrapolation or interpolation or calculation, we can get the concentration of sample. This is the calibration curve or standard curve, that is we will study in detail in calculation part. Okay. For right now, you just understand calibration curve or standard curve is used to find out the concentration of our sample using the standard sample of that substance only. Then the laws governing absorption of radiation. There are two laws which governs the absorption of radiation. First is Lambert's law and second one is Beer's law. These are the landmarks, students. They means very important laws in spectrophotometry, right? These are the fundamental laws in spectrophotometry and as well as in colorimetry. Lambert's law is related to the thickness or path length of absorbing species, and Beer's law is related to the concentration of absorbing species. Right? So these are the two laws which governs the absorption of radiation, and these are the fundamental landmarks in the field of spectrophotometry. These are the fundamental laws of spectrophotometry. First one is Lambert's law and second one is Beer's law. And Lambert's law is related to the thickness or path length of absorbing species, and Beer's law is related to the concentration of absorbing species. These two laws are applicable under the following condition only. I is equal to IA plus IT. Here I means intensity of incident light, IA means intensity of absorbed light, and IT means intensity of transmitted light, which means the condition where no reflection or scattering takes place, in that condition only these two laws are followed, which means the intensity of incident light is equal to the total of intensity of absorbed light and intensity of transmitted light, right? And this can be happened only when there is no reflection or scattering takes place. In that condition only this condition is followed, and when this condition is followed, in that condition only these two laws, Lambert's law and Beer's law, are followed, right? So first we will see Lambert's law and then we will see Beer's law and then we will see combined Lambert's-Beer's law. So let's start with the Lambert's law. This law is related to the thickness or path length of absorbing species. Relationship between absorption intensity and thickness of absorbing medium was studied by the scientist Lambert, right? And what is the statement of this law is the intensity of a beam of monochromatic light decreases exponentially with increase in thickness of the medium arithmetically. First, see, this statement can be written as follows also, which is when monochromatic light passes through a transparent medium, the rate of decrease in intensity of radiation with increase in thickness of the medium is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Which means here two conditions must be followed. First one is monochromatic light and second one is transparent medium. Here we are passing monochromatic light through a transparent medium containing absorbing species. In transparent medium our absorbing species are present, right? And obviously as we pass our monochromatic light from the absorbing species, that light will be absorbed by the absorbing substance, so the intensity of that radiation will be decreased. So the rate of decrease in intensity of radiation with increase in thickness of the medium means the medium through which it is passing is increased, the intensity of that radiation will be decreased, and this is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light, right? So the intensity of a beam of monochromatic light decreases exponentially. Exponentially means more rapid and rapid, with increase in thickness of the medium arithmetically, means directly proportional, with increase in the thickness of the medium arithmetically, right? So, when we pass monochromatic light through a transparent medium, the rate of decrease in intensity of the radiation with increase in thickness of the medium is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Here, two conditions must be followed. First one is monochromatic light and second one is transparent medium. We have already discussed what is monochromatic light and polychromatic light. The radiation containing only one wavelength is known as monochromatic light, and the radiation containing more than one wavelength is known as polychromatic light. And the medium through which our radiation is passing must be transparent. If it is hazy, this law cannot be followed, right? So these are the two conditions which must be followed to follow the Lambert's law. Here see, the thickness of the medium is small t, from which we are passing the incident light, of which intensity is I0, and the intensity of transmitted light is known as IT, right? Intensity of incident light is I0, and after passing, first see what is incident light. The light which we pass through the medium is known as incident light, and after passing, the light which we get is known as transmitted light. So in starting there is incident light, and after passing the light is transmitted light, right? So intensity of incident light is I0 and intensity of transmitted light is IT, and the thickness of the medium is small t. So according to Lambert's law, decrease in intensity of incident light means I. First here we will take incident light as I only, not I0 but as I only. The decrease in intensity of incident light is I, with thickness of the medium is small t, is proportional to the intensity of incident light. So intensity of incident light is decreasing, so it is negative di with increasing thickness of medium. So it is upon dt is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light, means capital I, directly proportional to capital I, right? Intensity of incident light is decreases, so it is negative di, which is upon dt, means thickness of the medium, right? Thickness of the medium is increasing, and this is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light, which is capital I. And if you want to remove this sign of proportionality, we have to insert constant of proportionality, which is small k. So minus di by dt is equal to ki. And rearranging this term, minus di by I will be k dt. And after integrating, we will get the equation natural logarithm. Negative natural logarithm I is equal to kt plus b, where b is the constant of integration, right? Here we are integrating the equation negative natural logarithm I is equal to kt plus b, and b is the constant of integration, and this is the first equation. Now suppose the condition where thickness of the medium is 0, so there will be no absorption. So if there will be no absorption, I will be I0, right? Means incident light can be written as I0, and here thickness of the, here we are assuming the conditions, students. So thickness of the medium is 0, means t is equal to 0 and I is equal to I0, and substituting these values in here equation 1, we will get negative logarithm natural logarithm I0 is equal to k into 0, because t 0 plus b. So the equation will be negative logarithm natural log I0 is equal to b. And now we will put this value of b in equation 1. We can get minus natural log I is equal to kt minus natural log I0. So, and then rearranging the term, natural log I0 minus natural log I is equal to kt, and as we know, log A minus log B is equal to log A by B. So natural log in bracket I0 by I is equal to kt. Now Removing natural logarithm, we will get I0 by I is equal to e to the power of kt, and making inverse on both sides, I by I0 is equal to e to the power of negative kt. So we will get I is equal to I0 e to the negative power of kt, and this is the equation of Lambert's law. Here I means intensity of transmitted light, I0 means intensity of incident light, k is the proportionality constant, and t is the thickness of the medium through which radiation is passing, right? I is equal to I0 e to the power of negative kt. This is the equation of Lambert's law. First, minus di by dt is directly proportional to I. Then we insert the proportionality constant small k. Then rearranging the term. Then we integrate it. So natural logarithm. Then assume the condition where thickness of the medium is 0. And substituting all these values in equation 1. And then rearranging the terms. And then natural logarithm is removed. Then inverse is taken on both sides. We can get the equation of Lambert's law, which is I is equal to I0 e to the power of negative kt. Thus, from this equation we can say that as thickness of the medium increases, absorbance increases. Obviously, thickness means our sample, means our absorbing species, means thickness of our medium in which absorbing species are present is increases, absorbance increases. And internationally, most of the instruments have 1 centimeter thickness, but in instruments used for research work, this thickness may vary. Internationally, the thickness of the medium through which radiation is passing is taken as 1 centimeter. And sometimes small b is also used instead of small t to express thickness. So this was all about Lambert's law. Now, second one is Beer's law. This law is related to the concentration of absorbing species, right? And the relationship between concentration of absorbing species and the absorption intensity was studied by Beer. Students, everything in Lambert's law and Beer's law is same. Just the difference is in Lambert's law, where there is thickness of the medium, here in Beer's law, it will be replaced by concentration of the absorbing species, right? Because in medium, there is also present absorbing species. So, concentration of absorbing species, right? The statement is also same. See, the intensity of a beam of monochromatic light decreases exponentially with increase in the concentration of absorbing species arithmetically. Means where there is thickness of the medium, here that is concentration of absorbing species. Obviously, as we increases concentration of absorbing species, the intensity of light will be decreased, right? And here intensity of incident light is I0, then the concentration of absorbing species is small c, and intensity of transmitted light is IT. Conditions are also the same, monochromatic light and transparent medium. Then the derivation is also in the same manner, but here concentration of absorbing species small c is taken in place of small t, means thickness of the medium. Everything will be in the same manner, integration and then substituting the value, then removing natural log and making inverse on both sides. We can get the final equation I is equal to I0 e to the power negative power of kc, where c is the concentration of species. So we can say that intensity of light decreases as we increases the concentration of absorbing species. So this is the Beer's law. Now combine Lambert's-Beer's law. The equation of Lambert's law is I is equal to I0 e to the power negative power of kt, and Beer's law is I is equal to I0 e to the negative power of kc. And both of these equations can be combined to get I is equal to I0 e to the negative power of kc and t. Now, if we want to remove this natural law to the base 10, so as we all know that we have to insert the value 0.4343. So here see small k will be converted into capital K, and capital K is equal to small k into 0.4343, right? Then we rearrange the terms, and then we inverse on both sides, and then we take log on both sides. We can get the equation log I0 by I is equal to KCNT. This is very simple step, student. And so we get this equation log I0 by I is equal to KCNT, right? And now transmittance T is equal to I by I0, means intensity of transmitted light and intensity of incident light. Ratio of both of these intensities is known as transmittance T, and absorbance A is equal to log 1 upon T. So A is equal to log 1 upon I by I0. So A is equal to log I0 by I. And using this equation 6 and 7, we can say that putting this value of A in this equation 6, we can get the equation A is equal to KCT. Here capital K is replaced with small a, and as I said, T can be also written as B. We can get the equation capital A is equal to A, B and C. After converting and rearranging and inversing on both sides, we can get the equation 6 log I0 by I is equal to KCT, right? Now transmittance T is equal to I by I0 and absorbance A is equal to log 1 upon T. So A is equal to log 1 upon I by I0 means A is equal to log I0 by I. And putting this value of A in equation 6, we can get A is equal to KCT, but capital K is replaced with A and T is replaced with B. We can get the equation capital A is equal to A, B and C, where A is absorbance, small a is absorptivity, small b is thickness of the medium, and small c is concentration of the species. This is the mathematical statement of Lambert-Beer's law, right? And it is the fundamental equation of colorimetry and spectrophotometry. And from this equation, we can say that absorption of the solution is directly proportional to the, here capital A is the absorbance, right? Absorption is directly proportional to the concentration of absorbing species, means C, when optical path length is fixed, and is directly proportional to the optical path length when concentration of absorbing species is fixed, right? Means capital A is directly proportional to the C when B is fixed, and capital A is directly proportional to B when C is fixed, right? So this is the Lambert-Beer's law, capital A is equal to ABC, and this is the very important and fundamental law in spectrophotometry, all type of spectrophotometry as well as in colorimetry. Now these are the important terms. As I said, transmittance is the ratio of radiant power transmitted by sample to the incident radiant power, right? P by P0. Then absorbance or extinction or optical activity A is logarithm to the base 10 of reciprocal of transmittance, means log 1 by T, means log P0 by P. And then small a is absorptivity or extinction coefficient or absorbance index. It is the ratio of absorbance to the product of concentration and optical path length, means small a is equal to A by B into C, right? This is from the equation capital A is equal to small a, B and C, right? I hope students you can understand this. Okay. Thank you.